enticing hurt, the kind of guy Jonathan would want to fix by fucking. Jonathan's bees sprouted from his hair, buzzed around his head, recording the landscape's deterioration. The images beamed as soon as they were taken to David's cloud back on the colony, a little delayed due to spotty connection. Stories of the radiation had made their way to the colonies, and even still, with the documentation, with the filtered photos on everyone's grams, and with the news updates, and with the video taken by people on their way out, the whole thing had acquired an air of myth. It had always been something that had happened to someone else. The truth was that Jonathan knew no one still on Earth, knew no one who had stayed or had been forced to stay, and he saw it as a deficiency. Life was truly lived here, where it was at stake. The forests were bright green, and as he approached the terminus of the train line, bright red, a vibrancy nowhere to be found in space, where everything was a different shade of gray, where every panel and every pathway was drained of color, and only the bricks that came imported from Earth seemed to bear any trace of having had a full and exacting life. Jonathan collected his bags from the train's undercarriage, then hailed a small personal transport, room for one, that took him past the protected zone and into some of the forest outside of Fairfield County. Prior to his departure, they'd made him print out all of his documents, and when, now, his comms fritzed with static and his gram shots took longer than usual to make their way online, he saw why. The Soviet insistence on printing everything in quintuplet and the months and months of phone calls and emails prior had been meant to reassure the authorities on the colonies that he was no longer their ward. The umbilical cords linking Earth and the colonies had been snapped. You came here wanting to be forgotten, wearing the odor of an outlaw. The mindset up in the stars was that anyone returning, unless they were seeking to gather family, had nothing left on the colonies. No reason to enjoy the banal comforts and the safety of the space station. If you were leaving, it was because you had been defeated. There were no more pioneers left in space. Bridgeport Harbor was now in their rear view. The bees buzzing around Jonathan's hair beamed into his brain case information about the industrial husks that floated by. St. Vincent's Medical Center, which once upon a time had been the city's biggest employer. People's United Bank, University of Bridgeport, Housatonic Community College, the Director's Shipyards. Wikis on each of the landmarks bookmarked themselves in Jonathan's brain case, and as soon as he scanned them, they vanished into a folder waiting to be trashed. He chuckled, and under a gram he snapped of a row of 2-story project housing, he murmured a caption in a newscaster's voice. And here we have Bridgeport, Connecticut, world leader in abandoned buildings, shattered glass, and gas stations without pumps. Come here to see boarded-up windows and wild dogs like no other. Except the dogs here were larger than they were supposed to be, and mixed in with all of the industrial decay was a wrongly colored forest, retaking control of the city. They passed the ballpark at Harbor Yard where the Bridgeport Bluefish used to play, and before long, they took the off-ramp that put them on Whitney Avenue in New Haven. Jonathan put his palm to the cabbie's scanner, then pulled it away, frowning, when he saw how much he'd been charged. But before he could complain, the maglev transport was stopped, and his luggage was out on the street corner, and he'd fumbled for his air mask, barely getting it on before the cab whirled around and sped down a side street, winding its way back onto the interstate. Across the street from Jonathan, on a sidewalk torn to pieces by weeds and renegade tree roots, stood what might have once been called a wild boar. This one, however, more resembled a demigod. On 4 legs, it rose as high as Jonathan's chest.